their friends know. Not because this person told them in a formal sit down, I have something to share way, because the specific, impossible to fully contain quality of what this person is carrying when your name comes up, or when you are nearby, or when something happens that connects to you in any way, has been visible enough and consistent enough that the people who know this person well have been watching it accumulate into something that is simply undeniable. The friends have been watching, and the friends have been commenting, and the commenting has a specific, warm, slightly merciless quality of people who love someone and who find the specific, involuntary, totally transparent quality of their person's feelings about someone genuinely entertaining. They are being teased because of you. And the teasing is its own specific form of confirmation. I want to begin with what the friends actually see, because the teasing is not random. It is the specific targeted quality of people who have identified a particular thing and who are responding to that particular thing with the gentle, relentless consistency of close friends. They have identified a change, not a dramatic change, the subtle, accumulating, only visible to people who pay close attention kind. The specific quality of someone who is different in certain moments than they are in all other moments, whose energy shifts when a particular topic or a particular name arrives, whose face does something that it does not do in other contexts, whose usual quality of ease and social fluency becomes slightly something else when you enter the picture. Not worse, just different, charged with the specific, unmistakable quality of someone who is no longer operating from their ordinary baseline, because the ordinary baseline has been disturbed by a particular person, by you. Let me describe the specific moments the friends have been observing, because the teasing is always about specific moments, about the particular observable instances that have accumulated into the pattern that the friends are now poking at, with the specific, affectionate, I saw that quality of people who are enjoying themselves. There was a moment where your name came up in a conversation that was not about you, in the ordinary associative way that names arrive in conversations when something connects to someone you know. And this person's response to your name arriving was slightly too much for the moment. A particular quality of attention that did not match the casualness of the context, a slight brightening, a quality of the conversation suddenly being more interesting than it was immediately before the name arrived. The friends noticed there was a moment when you were in a shared space, and this person's awareness of where you were in that space had a quality that exceeded what ordinary social awareness produces. The specific, slightly unable to not track quality of someone whose attention keeps organizing itself around a particular person regardless of what other things are competing for it. Who knows, without looking directly, where you are? Who tracks without tracking? The friends noticed that too. And there was at least one moment of the reaching for phone, the specific, characteristic, immediately visible to anyone paying attention quality of someone who has just encountered something, a message or a post or some small piece of your presence in the digital world, and whose response to the encountering is a particular soft, private, kind of pleased, that was not meant to be seen. That was the interior response arriving on the exterior before the awareness that it was visible could intercept it. The friends saw it and said something. I want to describe what the teasing actually sounds like, because teasing has a texture and the texture carries information about the quality of the feeling the friends are teasing about. It is warm. This is the most important thing about the teasing, and it is the thing that distinguishes it from mockery or from concern or from any of the other forms that friends' commentary on each other's feelings can take. It is warm. The specific affectionate quality of people who are not poking at something they disapprove of or something they find concerning, who are poking at something they find delightful, who are responding to the specific involuntary, you cannot hide this quality of someone who is obviously, visibly, completely in a particular person's orbit as the charming and amusing and slightly ridiculous thing that it is. The teasing is love from the friends toward this person who is being caught in something genuine enough to be unmistakable and being held in it with the specific, loving but merciless quality of people who are not going to let it go. Who is being caught in something genuine enough to be unmistakable and being held in it with the specific, loving but merciless quality of people who are not going to let it go. I want to describe the teasing more specifically because I think the texture of it is one of the more charming pieces of this reading, and it deserves its details. It arrives in the form of knowing looks. The specific across the room quality of two friends catching each other's eye when something happens that confirms what they already knew. A glance that carries an entire conversation without a word. A slight shared smile that says, we knew it. Look at this. There it is again. The wordless communication of people who have been tracking the same thing and who are pleased to have another data point. It arrives as callbacks, the specific, relentless quality of friends who have latched onto something and who return to it, who find occasion to reference it in contexts that are not about it, who work it into conversations in ways that produce the specific groaning quality of this, again, from the person being teased, which the friends treat as confirmation that the thing is real enough to warrant the groaning. And it arrives as direct commentary, the specific moments when someone simply says what they see. You light up when you talk about her. You were literally staring. Don't even try to tell me you're not interested. The straightforward, affectionate, I'm saying this because I love you quality of a friend who is refusing to allow the pretense to continue unchallenged. All of this directed at this person. All of it because of you. I want to speak to what this person does when the teasing lands, because their response to the teasing is itself the clearest possible window into where they actually are. They cannot maintain the denial, not that they are trying to deny dramatically, the specific, slightly half-hearted quality of someone who knows the denial is not landing, but who is producing it anyway, because full acknowledgement feels like more than the current moment allows. Who says something like, I don't know what you're talking about, in exactly the tone of voice that confirms that they know exactly what is being talked about. And underneath the half-hearted denial, something that the friends can see even if this person is not saying it, a quality of pleased. The specific, private, trying not to be visible, but visible anyway, quality of someone who is not actually upset about being caught, who is underneath the social performance of denying or deflecting, operating from a place of being genuinely okay with the thing the friends are catching them in, who finds the catching in its own way a relief. Because being caught in something true is different from being caught in something to be ashamed of. And what the friends are catching them in is true. And part of them, underneath the half-hearted denial, is glad someone noticed. Let me speak to why the friends notice. Because the noticing is not an accident, and the why of it tells you something about the quality of what this person carries about you. When someone feels something significant about a particular person, the significant thing tends to reorganize the field around it, not deliberately, not through any choice the person makes about how to present themselves, through the simple, natural, this is what genuine feeling does quality of something that is large enough to affect how you inhabit your own presence. That produces small, consistent, observable changes in the texture of your ordinary behavior when it is activated. You activate it every time your name arrives, every time you are in proximity, every time something produces the specific, inevitable collision between the ordinary texture of this person's day and the feeling they have been carrying about you. And every collision leaves a trace. Small, observable, consistent. And it is the consistency of the trace across enough situations and enough time that produces the pattern that the friends have been reading that has become legible enough to be the subject of affectionate commentary. The pattern says, this is not casual. The pattern says something real is happening here. And the friends are responding to the pattern with exactly the specific, warm, we see you quality of people who love someone and want to acknowledge that they see something significant happening. The pattern says something real is happening here. And the friends are responding to the pattern with exactly the specific, warm, we see you quality of people who love someone and want to acknowledge that they see something significant happening. I want to add one more specific trace to this picture because I think it is the most revealing one. The way they talk about you. Not just that they talk about you, the specific quality of how they talk about you when they talk about you, which they do more than the official register of the relationship between you might seem to warrant. More than someone would expect from a person who is simply acquainted with you or simply friendly with you or simply one of many people in their regular world, with a specificity that comes from paying close attention, with a quality of noticing that exceeds what ordinary observation produces, where the things they say about you are not the general impressionistic things that people say about people they know casually, where what they say has the detailed, particular, this person has been looking closely quality of someone who has been tracking a specific subject of interest. The friends hear this. They hear the difference between how this person talks about other people and how they talk about you. And the difference is visible enough to be the subject of the specific kind of commentary that has been producing the teasing. Tell me in the comments if you can feel this from the other side. If there is a specific person whose friends you have some awareness of, directly or indirectly, and if the quality of that awareness suggests that something has been visible in this person in relation to you that has not gone unnoticed by the people around them, whether you have sensed in any form that you are a topic, I want to know. I want to speak to what the teasing means for where this person is in relation to you. The teasing is a social acknowledgement, not of the feeling itself, which is only acknowledged in the half-hearted way I described, of the visibility of the feeling, of the fact that the feeling has become sufficiently present in this person's behavior that the people closest to them have been moved to comment that visibility matters. Because visibility of this kind represents a threshold. When what someone feels is so interior that it has no behavioral trace, it is known only to them. When it begins to produce behavioral traces it becomes knowable to the people paying close attention. When the behavioral traces have accumulated into a pattern visible enough to be the subject of commentary and teasing, something has crossed from the interior into the social space. Not the feeling itself, the evidence of the feeling. And when evidence crosses into social space, the dynamic changes because the social space has a way of producing its own momentum. Of the people around someone, having acknowledged something, creating a context in which the acknowledgement does more work than the original observation, in which the teasing produces a specific, slightly accelerating quality of someone being confronted with what they feel in a form that is hard to ignore. The friends are not just teasing, they are, in their own way, creating pressure. The specific, friendly, you cannot maintain, the half-hearted denial indefinitely pressure of people who are not going to pretend they did not see what they saw. And that pressure tends to produce movement. Let me speak to something about your position in this, because the reading has been primarily about what is happening with this person, and I want to bring it to you before we close. You are the reason their friends are not letting them alone. That is the specific, practical, real world consequence of the way you exist in this person's awareness. The reason their social circle has a new recurring topic. The reason the people who know this person best have identified a particular thing as something worth noticing and naming and returning to with the specific, warm persistence of people who enjoy watching a friend be undone by something real. You are the undoing, not through any deliberate action on your part, not through strategy or management of how you appear to this person or any of the deliberate things that people sometimes do when they understand they have a particular effect on someone. Simply by being who you are, in the full, unself-conscious, not performing for the effect quality of someone who is simply living their life and being themselves and producing in a particular person's field the specific, significant, friends have noticed quality of something that is real. That is the most powerful thing available. And you are doing it without trying. I want to speak to what comes next, because the teasing is not the destination. It is the social pressure that tends to produce the destination. The destination is this person deciding to do something, not because the teasing forces them to, because the teasing creates a context in which continuing to do nothing becomes increasingly difficult to sustain, in which the half-hearted denial keeps being challenged by the friends who are not accepting it, in which the social acknowledgement of the feeling begins to make the interior acknowledgement more necessary. You cannot indefinitely tell your friends you don't know what they're talking about when they clearly know exactly what they're talking about. At some point, the telling becomes more uncomfortable than the acknowledging. And the acknowledging tends to be the first step toward the doing. The doing is coming, not on any specific exact timeline, but in the natural sequence of things, where social pressure created by the visible evidence of genuine feeling tends to produce the eventual decision to act on the genuine feeling. The sequence is in motion. The sequence is in motion. I want to describe what the final stages of this sequence look like before the doing actually arrives. Because understanding what the period immediately before the doing looks like will help you recognize where this person is in real time. The half-hearted denial gets shorter. Not because they have decided to stop denying, because the maintaining of it is costing more energy than it was in the earlier stages, where initially the denial was produced with some comfort, with some genuine sense of, I can maintain this position. It has been becoming increasingly effortful, increasingly hollow, increasingly transparent even to themselves. The friends stop asking and start stating. The earlier stage of the teasing tends to be interrogative. You like her, don't you? More like a question than an assertion. The later stage becomes declarative. You definitely like her. Not a question, a statement. The removal of the question mark is the social acknowledgement that the evidence has crossed from suggestive to conclusive. And the person being teased stops protesting as much. The earlier stage response is an active deflection, a changing of the subject, a turning of the teasing back onto the friends. The later stage response is quieter, more of a resigned acknowledgement, a smile that does more to confirm than the earlier protests did to deny. That quieter acknowledgement is the final stage before the decision. The threshold between knowing something and doing something about it is the deciding, and the deciding is very close. As we close, I want to give you one image, a group of friends in the specific, ordinary, comfortable with each other quality of a group that has known each other long enough to be relaxed and to say what they see and to respond to each other with the particular affectionate directness of people who have accumulated enough history to have moved past the formalities. And in the middle of them, this person being teased about you with the specific, warm, you are so obviously gone quality that friends deploy when they love someone and when what they love someone about is currently completely obvious. The face this person makes when the teasing lands, the specific, impossible to fully suppress quality of someone who is trying to deflect something they are not actually bothered by, who is performing the denial of something they would, in another context, not bother denying, who is in the specific quality of how they're failing to convincingly deny it, confirming everything the friends are saying. And underneath all of it, that quality of pleased, private, real, because someone who sees this in them, even their friends teasing them about it, is a version of being seen. And being seen, even by proxy, is a first step toward being known by you